Last week, we reviewed 3 potential Bitcoin bottom scenarios, but this week, I want to talk about a secret one that I haven't seen anybody else mention. So let's go ahead and dive into the video. All right, guys, really quickly, so everybody is caught up to speed, even if you didn't catch last week's video. The idea behind last week's video was going to the 5-day time frame. Okay, looking at each time Bitcoin has gotten oversold on the 5-day time frame, looking at when we move back into neutral, because that has historically signified when we have been able to find bottoms, whether we had to go in for 1, 2, or one single bottom, just like 2015 and 2019. Now, what did I do? I took those fractals from when we found the bottom to the move into neutral, lined it up with when we found a bottom to a move into neutral on this cycle, and we had our 3 scenarios right in here. Now, I specifically want to talk about this 2022 cycle in here, because how we framed it last week was we are potentially in a situation like this, where we find some sort of semi bottom, we waddle around for a while until we go and make that new low that we see right in here. And this is why I say that the fractal that we're going to look at this week is top secret, super secret, or just a lot of people aren't talking about it. Because the fractal that we're going to pull from this week actually only comes from right in here. Do I think that we should look at this specific bottom in 2022, the kind of second bottom that came in, as a potential scenario for this bottom? And the answer is absolutely yes. Last week, we treated this as one singular bottom, but you can see we still have the same cross into oversold territory, the same cross back into neutral. Now I'm on the 5-day chart here, but if we did zoom into the daily time frame, you can see when this cross and uncross kind of occurred back in 2022 on the daily time frame. We kind of waddle in here, move up, and that's when we get the cross back into neutral. Now, is that semi-similar, or is that a possibility of something we could be seeing in here? And I don't think the answer is going to be clear until we break this range to the upside or go in for the bullish divergence. But I do think it is a possibility. So everybody should be caught up. You guys should get the idea of this video now. So this is the fractal that I'm talking about, and we will go ahead and move it over our current price action. All right, I'm going to turn up the transparency just so you guys can see this a little bit better, but not the worst fractal when it comes to us being in a similar place. We have our kind of bottoming phase and initial bounce come in right there. Okay, you can see that right here, bottoming phase, initial bounce come in. We have our waddle sideways while we work through this oversold area on the 5-day time frame. Waddle sideways while we work through this oversold area on the 5-day time frame. We have this squeeze and liquidity grab slash bull trap, if that's what you want to call it. Short squeeze and liquidity trap, bull trap, same exact thing showing up in there. And then this price action that I think a lot of people aren't going to be able to explain in real time, but we're trying to catch it on this page. If it doesn't happen within the next week, I'm starting to lean away from this bullish divergence case, just because we are starting to see some momentum build with compression building as well. We are sitting on top of fibs, okay? And we are resembling something like this fractal. Now, if we waddle in here for another week, I'm really going to be leaning on this fractal, because just like we saw, or just like we can point to back in 2022, we saw a very similar thing come in after this liquidity squeeze and bull trap, this kind of waddling sideways until we eventually just rounded out a bottom in here and went on for higher price action. So now that you guys can see the similarities in the different phases, we'll again go ahead and move it up in here. And if we were going to say how long or length of time, you could say that we are about halfway through this kind of rounded bottom correction in here. And this fractal would point to things getting fun end of April, with things being somewhat neutral, but definitely not scary times into that moment if we were going to follow a fractal like this. Now, again, all of these things are in play. All of these different bottoms are 100% in play, but I think the least talked about bottom is the most likely. But I also want to say this too, that no bottom, no top in crypto is ever going to be identical. I was saying the same things when people were posting this fractal right in here. I'm pointing to us moving to the downside, things like that, us continuing in some sort of longer bear market, because if we were following that fractal in here, this is actually where we would be at in current price action. Now, I raised a lot of problems and a lot of questions with that at that time that we're not going to go back and discuss. But I just want to point out a lot of people have been continuing to follow this fractal on us going in to find new lows. The most bullish fractals that I've seen people posting are something like what I talked about last week, where they can identify that, hey, we are within some sort of bottom. Now, which one is it going to be? Now, all of these fractals do have you kind of drawing on for a longer period of time, with the closest one being at mid-June, somewhere in there, where we can finally work out of here. And even one of them pointing to some sort of October of 2026 bottom, just like the 4-year cycle guys have been calling for. The one thing I don't think people are accounting for, right, is some sort of V bottom. Now, I mentioned it in my video last week. The longer this thing drags on, the longer we're able to kind of, hold support in here. I have a Bitcoin video going out this week where I'm like, hey, things really don't look bad. And it does look like we have a decent shot if bulls can step in at finding some sort of bottom in here. Now, if that was going to happen, that V bottom scenario is probably going to play out a lot like this, where we do find out or find some sort of rounded bottom in here, and price action accelerates rather quickly before people can catch on. Now, when we get up in here, I already know what people are going to say. I've covered it in other videos, so we'll go ahead and avoid that for now. But I did want to raise the question. I did want to bring to y'all's awareness that, hey, this second half of a bottom that we saw in 2022 is not an unlikely scenario. Not only is it not unlikely, but it's actually decently probable. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Don't overlook this 2022 bottom. This is part 2. This is the November, December, January bottom after FTX collapse. But yeah, don't overlook it, and let me know what you guys think of these bottoms that we have in here. Which one do you think is the most likely? Again, nothing's going to follow it perfectly, but which one, when we look back in a year, 2 years, do you think we were the most similar to in hindsight? I want you guys to let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget, I have a free newsletter if you guys are interested in signing up for that. The link is in the bio. The first one will go out at 100 subscribers. That's completely free to you guys, and hopefully you guys do enjoy it. So make sure you do get subscribed so that can go out as soon as possible. I also have a free Discord as well. If you guys have questions, if you guys just want more access, if you guys want to, whatever you guys want to use it for, the link for that is in my bio. As always, appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.